Hello guys, welcome back to the Beastie Room. Now we got something very different today, and I think it's going to be a really cool addition to the Beastie Room. We have had these in the past, and well, we wanted to get another one, and that is the giant African bullfrog. Now we've managed to pick up a young individual, a little froglet. He's only about this big. From our good friend Reese at BH Exotics, which is down in Kinson. So if you're in the Bournemouth area, local like we are here, go in, check him out. BH Exotics. It's a really cool little shop, and he's really helpful as well. He'll go out of his way to sort you out. Now we have got our little fella here. Now he's in this cricket tub. Now he was in on a bit of tissue, but we took him out because he got covered in it. So he's literally just sat in the plastic now. So what we're going to do, we are going to have a really good look at him in a moment. Now this guy is going to need a relatively simple type of enclosure. And so what we're going to do, as he's only small, we are going to start him off in one of these Braplast tubs. Nice and simple, really easy. Now the most important thing we can do with our bullfrog is to make sure that he's kept in a humid environment. So we need to keep the substrate nice and moist, and as long as he stays humid, he will be fine. Now temperature wise, we're looking at around about 75 degrees up to sort of like around about the low 80s, 78. That's a really nice temperature to keep these guys at. They don't really want to be much warmer than that. Now bearing in mind, these do come from South Africa. Now over there, they are buried away, hidden away for most of the year. And this is because it's so hot. And then what they do is they bury themselves down, and they hide themselves away, and they literally cocoon themselves in an old skin. So what they do is they hollow out like a little tiny, what can we call it? Just like a little tiny sealed hollow in the earth. And then what they do is they line that with like old skin, which they molt off. Now when they molt their skins, they kick it off from literally their bum, and they kick it off their back legs over the top of their heads. And normally what happens is when they do that, they normally eat it because it's full of nutrients, and they keep it. And it's got everything they need. So this is what normally happens. But when they go down and they bury, this actually creates a different behaviour, and they line that soil pocket that they're sitting in with that. And that helps to keep them moist inside there so it doesn't dry out. Bearing in mind, this is probably in the bottom of a riverbed. Now when they do that, it can actually keep them, they can stay in there for anything up to a year or more, depending on when the rains come. So it's only when it starts raining again that the water starts seeping through the soil. This wakes our frogs up, and then eventually they all burst out of it and they come up, and then they're in the pools of water, and that's the breeding time for them. So they don't actually do a great deal. That's when they get all of their food, they do all their breeding, everything is done in that short space of time. Now here in captivity, we don't have to worry about that. We can keep them active and open all the time. And that's because they're not going to go through that dry period. We're going to keep them going. So what we're going to do, we're going to house our guy. I say a guy, I hope it's a male, because the males get really big. They can get up to between 8 and 10 inches in size, and they can weigh up to 4 pounds. So that's a beast of a frog, absolute beast. Females around 4 to 6 inches, and she might only get up to about 1.5 pounds, 2 pounds. So they're a little bit smaller. So hopefully we get a male, because they look real gnarly, the males as well. They get all these big things all over their head and stuff. They look really cool. So we're going to start off with our little fella in this box. We got ourselves some beastie material here. Now this is nice clean material that we've collected, and this is going to be more than enough. We're going to get rid of the bits of stick and stuff. We don't really need them. Any big lumps in here we don't need, we can take out. We're just going to have a little fiddle around in here, see what's in here, see what we got. You can see it's really nice. This is basically just leaf mulch, so it's really cool stuff. It's got bits of leaf and what have you in it. Now we're going to add some moss to it. You remember, guys, we get our moss. This is the stuff we use. Sphagnum moss. And this is designed for hanging baskets, as you can see in here. But this bag here is a huge bag, and it literally cost, I think it was £10. And this bag lasts me ages, absolutely ages. So what we're going to do, we're going to get a bit of this stuff, and we're going to mix that in with our substrate as well. Mix it all in. That will help keep it nice and moist. Stick a little bit more in there, because this stuff's so cheap we can afford to just keep throwing it in. We're just going to keep putting it in there. Just mix it up, you see? And that makes a really nice bed. It's interesting that, look, when we're making it up, we're looking at, you notice we've almost filled this up. And this is because our frog will actually burrow down and get stuck in here, and he will build himself a nice little tiny spot. Now we're also going to add a decent sized water bowl. Now it needs to be of a reasonable size. You might sit there and think, wow, that's a really big water bowl for such a small box. But our frog is big enough for our frog. He will just about sit in that. And it's important that they have access to water. And one of the reasons this is because our frog will defecate in the water. So when he decides it's time to take a poo, that's generally where he's going to do it, in his water bowl. So it's important that we have a good sized water bowl for him. Yeah. And it doesn't matter if he flops this out and it all gets wet in here. Doesn't matter. He's an amphibian. He's going to enjoy that moisture. Now there's another really, really important thing to think of if you're going to keep frogs like this. Your water bowl. We must maintain that we keep fresh water in our water bowl, because amphibians can be affected in many different ways, but most of the things that are really, really bad for them is they can absorb toxins through their skin. And this is because they are an amphibian, so everything can be absorbed through their skin. Now, if our water should go bad and he sits in it, then he's going to obviously absorb them toxins, and they are going to, in a way, poison our frog. They're going to make him very ill. So always make sure your water bowl is nice and clean. Now, second to that, you'll notice there we just filled our water bowl up. Here in the Beastie Room, you'll know that with our sprayer and the water that we use in here, we use tap water, but we've allowed it to stand for a few days. So what we do is we fill up big vats, and these are allowed to stand so they can air. So any chlorine or anything in the water evaporates out of them. So we are left with, to all intents and purposes, a distilled water, a clean water with, with nothing in it. So it's very, very important. Don't go and fill your water bowl straight from the tap, because the chlorine in there will burn your frog. So we have to be very, very careful of these things. So if you're going to get into keeping amphibians in any way, just be aware that some of the things that their needs are a little bit more delicate than some of our spiders. Our spiders don't suffer the same problems. Now then, so what we got, this is it. A nice simple enclosure. It doesn't need any more than this. And this is because our frog is only small. He's only little at the moment. We keep calling him a him. We're really, really hoping. Now you can see here, look, he's very, very keen to get out. What I'm going to do... Oh, he's in. Now, stay there. Just behave yourself. Now, as you can see, he's beautifully coloured. Really, really pretty. I mean, look at that. Isn't that stunning? He is absolutely awesome. We'll just try and make sure he doesn't drop out. If he hops out, it's not the end of the world. He's not going to go anywhere. Now, we should have mentioned that the African bullfrog is commonly known as a pixie frog. Don't get him confused with the Ceratophus. They are entirely different. And the scientific name for our African bullfrog, stay there, is Pyxicephalus adspersus. And that is the giant African bullfrog. And as we can see there, there's a little bit of white stuff in the water bowl. Just get rid of that. Now, sit in your bowl. There you go. Now, one of the other things to remember with these guys, they have a ferocious appetite. They are constantly always hungry. Always hungry. And we might as well let him have a little wander, haven't we? He's keen to get about.
Will he burrow as a baby?
Yes. Yep. And this is why we give him the deep substrate, so that he can, in fact, actually get down and burrow. Now, you would have seen many of these. You see them when they're big frogs. Come here, I don't want you jumping off the table. When you see them as really big frogs, they just look like big green blobs. And this is because the way they've been fed. If you feed them more on an insect diet, so we'd be looking at, see, look at that, he thinks everything's food already. We can find him a cricket. Stay there, stay. He's not as well behaved as our spiders, is he? Wow. Right, tell you what, stay there. You stay there. I'm going to find him a roach. Let's see if we can have a bit of food. What we'll do. I don't suppose it will slow him down for long. But as you can see, he's a bit of a character already. So what we're going to do, this is a red runner that we got here. So we're going to put him over here. Stay. Do you want that? Oh, blimey, he jumped well, don't he? Do you want this?
It's getting him to see it now.
Yeah, he's not noticed it yet. Wow, stay put. I think he's actually more interested in
Adventuring.
Oh, there you are, he's gone. Did you see that? That was so fast. Now, as we were saying, when we're going to rear our frog, do you know what? I'm going to put a lid on it. When we're going to rear our frog, he's very energetic, isn't he? He's very energetic.
He's having you.
He's very energetic. Now, one of the things with these frogs is, as we were saying, when you see them as big adults, they just look like big green blobs. As they get older, they don't get quite so energetic as this little guy here. Now, and what happens is, often or not, people feed them mammals. So they feed them mice and all these sorts of things. Now, that's all well and good if we do it just as a treat. You know, when this is an adult frog, he may get a small mouse, a fuzzy, maybe once a year. You know, you don't really want to be doing it. If you want to get the best from your frog and you want a big, powerful looking frog, the best way to do it is to feed him on crickets, locusts, roaches, all of these sorts of things, because they don't put down the fat content into our frog that a mammal does. So mice are very high in fat. And if you feed him mice, which is quite often what people do, you know, it's going to make him into a big fat blob, and he's not going to be looking at his best. Now, he looks like he's settled down in his water bowl now. I'm sure if I take the lid off, he'll probably jump straight out. You can see, you look at him, look, he's like, hey up. Look at, he is a little terror, isn't he? Stay put. Very, very colourful. So, what we want to be doing now is we want to be looking at feeding him on an insect-based diet. He won't get any, you know, we might give him a pinky when he's maybe 2-3 times the size of he is now, but it really isn't necessary. You know, it just literally be a treat. That is all. Now, as he grows, he's obviously going to need a much bigger enclosure. Look at him, he's looking as if to say, can I get up there? Look, you see how, look how he's sat up. His posture is upright now. He's wondering whether he can get up there. Beautiful green colouring. Now, we should be able to tell, as he matures, if it's a male, his chin and his underside will go like a peachy orange colour. If it's a female, it will stay a creamy colour. Now, I don't know if the camera can pick it up, but if we look on his back, you can see these lines on his back. Let's turn him round. Right, you can see these lines on his back. Yeah? These become really, really pronounced. And if it's a male, they get really strong. They get big, strong ridges down their back. So fingers crossed this might be a male. That would be really, really cool. The last one we had a few years back was a male. Very, very nice. He really is quite a character already. Now, one of the... Get back in there. My lord. My lord. Right. So, as we were saying, as this little fella grows, he's going to get bigger and bigger and bigger. Eventually, he's going to end up like this size. And he's going to be eating a huge amount of insects at this rate. And it won't be nothing too difficult for him, if it's a male, to actually polish off 10, 15 roaches in a sitting. Now with these, we want to be, with this one here, he wants to be fed pretty much on a daily basis. So we'll be giving him like a cricket or a roach a day. We're going to get him a nice steady growth rate. We don't want him getting overweight. So we're going to really watch his weight and his intake on food. And then as they grow bigger and bigger and bigger, we can break their food down a little bit more. So when he's full grown, he will only need to be fed maybe twice a week, 3 times at the max. But it's the volume of food then. He'll be getting much more food in a sitting. Or we can carry on doing it daily, but just limiting and keeping it, smaller amounts, but on a daily basis. So we can really, really play around with how we maintain them. Now, in terms of care, these guys are very simple, lovely, nice and easy to look after. They don't require a lot. As long as we keep an eye on the water, make sure it's nice and fresh. That's one of the main things. And also their diet. We want to give them as varied a diet as possible. The more variation, the better our frog will be. You see, he knows that lid's there, so now he's literally sitting nice and calm, sitting nice and lovely. Now, one of the reasons, you see, look, you thought that. One of the reasons that we got this frog, we saw it become available and was like, we just got to get him. And we actually thought it would be really nice if we had a Beastie Room Mascot. We haven't really got a mascot as such. So we thought, what better than a giant African bullfrog? Amazing. So what we're going to ask you guys, our subscribers, what we're going to ask you to do is to think up some names. So we want you to put down in the comment what you think our Beastie mascot should be called. Now try and keep it simple and keep it polite and friendly. We don't want no bad names.
Family.
Yeah, family names. Family names only, please. And then what we will do, we will give it a few weeks, and then we'll see what names come in, and then we'll choose the one that we think most suits our beastie. He's in his water bowl now. He's chilling out. He's looking good now. That's a very interesting point to actually make now, is when you give them water, as he grows up and he turns into an adult, we will allow a water area in a nice big exhibit. So we will make a really nice big enclosure for him eventually. And it will have a water side to it. But the important thing is they don't need a lot of water. So it only wants to be deep enough that it reaches the lower, his chin. When he sits resting, the water only wants to come up to his chin. Doesn't want to be any deeper than that, because that's how they sit and relax. And if it's any deeper than that, he won't sit in the water. He'll be constantly taking on water. And they can, if given too much water, they can drown. So we need to make sure that we keep an eye on these sort of things. So he only needs shallow water area. But I'm really looking forward to, 6-8 months time, making a really nice exhibit for him, because he'll look smart. You see that? Look, he just head-butted the corner and knocked it up. Very, very strong. And when they get big, they get very, very strong. Now, handling wise, it's not really something that we want to be handling as such, although they will put up with it to some extent. They're quite tolerant, but do bear in mind, when they get older and they get bigger, they can and they are capable of giving you quite a bite. And they do have teeth. So it's gonna, you know, it can be quite a nasty nip. And yes, you want to try and keep your hands nice and clean as well. Don't go washing your hands in soapy water and then go picking your frog up, because he won't like that. Now you notice how the posture of him now, you notice how he sits up, he's very strong. This is what we want our frog to look like when it's full grown. We don't want it looking like a big blob. You got him? Isn't he beautiful? Absolutely beautiful. You can see them ridges on his back now really clearly. What a wonderful, wonderful thing. Come this way now. That's it. There we go. You get a nice close-up of them eyes. He almost looks intelligent. You look at that. Look. He's like, oh, I'll get round here.
He's not dark.
No.
He's got games view.
Very, very cool. Whoa! Blimey.
You got him?
Yep.
I'm out of focus.
Good job he's bomb-proof. There's another thing. We saw literally just how much of a jump they can actually make. He jumped a long way that time. I wasn't expecting that. He's only managed little tiny short jumps so far. Luckily it's a soft landing in here. That's settled him down a bit now. Look, he's all right now. So we're looking forward to some exciting names. And we'll see what you guys come up with. Thought it would be a little bit of fun for the channel. Right, let's get him back in his box before he causes any more trouble. Right, put that back on there. Right then. So that is going to be our new Beastie Mascot. I hope you like him as much as we do, because we think it's absolutely amazing. We think it's fantastic. And don't forget, if you are local, hit up BH Exotics and have a chat with Reese. He has a number of different things, all sorts of different reptiles. He gets some really, really oddball stuff in as well. Some really cool things.
Not just Dave.
No, not just me, no. No, he gets some really cool things as well. And yeah, give him a shout. He will be more than happy to help you out. Right, well, I look forward to your comments. And don't forget, be calm, be gentle, and love your spider. And we will see you soon, guys.